Okay, Tacitus, History, Chapter 3. Nevertheless, Tamen, adeo and ut correlatives. So, there's not many negative. This age was not sterile of virtues to such an extent that it did not produce also good examples. We saw some bad examples yesterday, so this era now also has some good things. Mothers, as we all know, fleeing children, comitate. So the mothers comitate, they're fleeing children. So when the children went away, the mothers were companions to them. Conjuxes, again, it's female, so it's wives, followed their maritos, their husbands, into exile. Okay. The propinqui, these are people who are near in relations, in kin. They were present participling bold, so the kinfolk were brave. The generi, what's that, sons-in-law or whatever, they were constant, they were standing firmly or something. Even contumax, this is against torture, was the fides. So the fides is contumax. There was a despising against torment or torture, a loyalty of the slaves. So that's another good thing. You had loyal slaves who thumb their noses at the torments. What have we got? The Suprema Chlorum Vivorum, blah blah blah. So the last tolerations of famous men, they bravely met their necessitates, whatever you want that to be. They had equal ways of death, which were praiseworthy in death compared to that of the ancient people who died bravely, I'm guessing, if you want to emphasize fortiter. Okay, necessitas. We saw the plural here. Bonds, difficult straits. So this is probably at the end of the love, so difficult straits. Inevitability, need, necessity, obligations, and poverty. So it's probably difficult straits and poverty these men were at the end of their lives, because we saw there were lots of confiscations yesterday. Praetor, besides, usually takes some accusative, besides the casus, fourth declension. Besides these dreadful mischances of multiple human things, rerum is just things or say situations, so there was many and horrible human disasters or something. On terra is the earth, Kala is the sky. So in the heavens and the sky there were prodigies or omens, and advice in the way of fulminums, they're lightning strikes or thunder or something, and presagia, these are omens or warnings of the future. Here we go. Tacitus is contrasting happiness and sadnesses, ambiguous and manifest. So clear and open, happy and sad, there are all types of omens going on. Nec enim umquam, for neither was ever, it could be nominative plural, there's a dative or ablative, so was there's a VE meaning or, so never looks like there was a pad probatum. For never ever was there anything proving by more atrocious cladebuses, disasters of the Roman people, take that as genitive, or more just by indications or signs that it was not to the gods any care of our security, and looked in fact to be some sort of revenge or punishment for the humans, or the Romans in particular. 4. Caterum, but antiquam before, I componem, before I place out the destined things or determined things or the decided things that I'm writing about, it seems the equality of the state of the city should be repeated or covered again. What was the mind of the armies? Quis habitus of the provinces? Habitus is probably the bearing or the situation in the provinces. What in toto orb? What in the whole orb of the world? Basically what was happening in the world, which was valid, which was strong, and what was agram, difficult or sick. So we're looking at situations of strength and disasters again. And not only the casus, another by chance type of things, incidents, accidents, and the eventus of things and the outcomes of things, which are generally plerumque are fortuitous or happen by circumstance, but even the ratio should be known. Noscantur, these things should be known, and the causes. Okay, so ratio is singular, causes is plural, and this is plural. The finis Neronis, the end of Nero, as or so that or something. Primo, in the first place, was a latus. It was a happy occasion. It had been an impetus or an attack of joy. Ita, thus, various motions of the minds, not only in the city amongst the Senate fathers, or the people, or the city military, the urbanum militum, but all the legions and the leaders or generals were all stirred up, considerated. Ablative absolute, evulgato means it's made public or it's out in the open. So the arcane, it's the secret things of the empire were out in the open. For it was able for a emperor, a princeps, alibi, which is a adverb, so at some place other than at Rome, to be made. So emperors were able to come from some other place than Rome now. Sed patres latae, but the fathers were happy. Immediately they were more licentious or free in their usurped liberty, or the liberty they had grasped now, that towards a new and absent principem, a new and absent leader, the new emperor, they were now, because I guess he wasn't at Rome. The primors of the knights, the leading knights, they were proximate to happiness of the fathers. They were near or in the same sort of state regarding the joy that the Senate fathers were in. The integra part of the population, the I guess the people who were approved of and have decent mores or whatever, they were annexed, they were joined to the great houses. So it looks like the common people and the famous families, they were all sort of tied together. Clients and libertai are the free men. They both have patrons. What are they? They were erect. They were in the hope of those who were condemned and exiled. I guess they were thinking they could come back now. The plebs sordita, the dirty plebs, accustomed to circuses and theatres, or circus is singular. At the same time, they were in the deterrima of the slaves. So the dirty plebs and the detrimental, the worst type of slaves or something like that, if you want to stick to English. And those who had eaten away their goods and were nourished by the dishonours of Nero, they were maesto, they were sad and gloomy, and they were avid of rumours or of news or something like that. 5. The miles urbanus, the soldiers of the city, imbued with that long time sacraments of swearing to Caesar. This was their customary thing to do. And to desert Nero by art and impulse, magisquam, more than traducers, being led there by their own ingenuum or their own line of thought. After, neither to be given the, basically we'll say donation now, the promised donation or income or money which had been promised under the name of Galba. And Magnus Meritus, okay, so more deserved, and these rewards were not the same in peace as in war. They understood this. So if we go from there, these soldiers, it's a group, but it's singular verb. These soldiers of the city, they understood. They deserted Nero, more from led there by some sort of compulsion, and when they didn't get their money, blah blah blah. So this preventium gratiam is about this is beneficial things that they had done in advance, and the principum had been factum. The emperor had been made by the legions. So again, we're talking about soldiers here. They thought they were promised all these sort of gifts which didn't come. they were prone to novus res. Novus res is revolution, usually, new things. And in super, above all this, by the crime of this guy here, Nymphidius Sabini, who was the prefect of something, of the city, it looks like. He was he was doing things with striving to get the power of the throne for himself, Sibys himself. And indeed, Nymphidius was oppressed. He was crushed in his own konatu, in his own attempt at getting power. Set, another of my favourite versions of said, but quam vis, although with the head of the defection or the riot being ablated, having been removed, there remained the consciousness of many of the soldiery, and neither were they lacking sermons or conversations of the older men. Increpentum. So there's a rustling here about how old and greedy Galba was. Avarice is greed. Olim once praised and celebrated this severity of his military repute or something. This was angering, and they were spurning. Spurn, that an English word? They spurned the old type of disciplines, and thus for the 14 years they had been accustomed from Nero that they should love the vices of the emperor not less than they revered the once upon a time virtues. The voice was honest of Galba when he was speaking pro the Republic, for the Republic, but it looks like it's a bit twofold, that he would select or choose soldiers for himself, not buy them. For this was not Kedra, and the rest of things, or the way things are normally done, was not to this form, not to this usual way of doing things. And you can chew it up and spit it out and make it nicer.